Man City's next Premier League game and their final match before the international break is at home to Brighton on Saturday, another team who are battling to qualify for Europe. Brighton have never won away at Man City, but they'll head to the Etihad in high spirits as they've now won each of their last six games in all competitions. They've won each of the last
Fire.
four in the league since losing to since being thrashed 7-0 by Nottingham Forest. They won 2-0 against Fulham last weekend. And they also beat Man City at home soil early this season. So this game is going to be a tricky one for City. It's an important game for both teams in terms of qualifying for Europe. How do you see this one going, Stephen? What do you think we can expect from this game? Two important game for both teams on Saturday.
Yeah, City are different at home than they are away. So I think that gives us the edge there. But look, they are they are arguably probably just as good as City right now. Even if we have a lot of quality, they are not a lesser side than Manchester City because City are a side in sort of transition in terms of personnel. They're very much building for the future with the signings of Marmoush, Kusanov, Nico Gonzalez, etc. Where Brighton, they sort of know who they are, and they're in insane form, as you said. Like that Forest result was spectacular, but it's sort of, I'm looking at the results since then 2-1 against Chelsea, 3-0 against Chelsea, 4-0 against Southampton, then a whole bunch of 2-1s against Bournemouth, Newcastle, and Fulham. And they are becoming incredibly hard to beat. And they have such a conviction of how they play. And they have players who will absolutely take advantage of Manchester City's weaknesses. You want pace out wide? They've got it in Minty, Matoma. You want physicality midfield? Balaba will run through you all day. Technical fullbacks. Estupiñán will get forward and provide all that energy. And they've got a side that can press aggressively and keep the ball really well. And that is sort of they're all City's weaknesses right now. So City are on a hard side to play against these days. They just beat Bournemouth as well. Who Bournemouth maybe had slightly more chances in that game, but Bournemouth are a cracking side. So they are, yeah, they're more than suited. And João Pedro scoring goals right now as well, and they've got pace out wide. They're just a brilliant side. I'm hoping City, usually City, when they play even possession heavy sides, if they play at home, I don't know why it is because football's weird that way. They do tend to keep the ball better. I would love to understand the logic of any of this, but it's just sort of just a truism in football and in life for some reason. But we do tend to be better at home, keeping the ball even against possession heavy sides. So Spec City will dictate the tempo against Brighton. Ultimately, it'll come down to quality. I know that sounds really basic, but if Matoma turns up for them and Savino doesn't for us, that could be the difference. If we don't get the ball to Haaland, they will score. Brighton are absolutely going to score in this game, so we have to score. We have to score a minimum 2 goals to get anything from this game because Brighton 100% are going to score in this game. But at the same time, Brighton, they are a good side, but they're not a great side. They are capable of getting beat 7-0 by Forest randomly, because that comes down to being that comes down to essentially a slight lack of quality at the very highest level. This is why they've not been a Champions League side because they are really good, but they aren't great. And that does leave the door open for City to get something. Looking forward to it. It'll be a good game. It's on a Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff, which is a rarity. We've had a week as well, hopefully, to fix the mistakes of the Forest game, which is a rarity for City as well. We just don't get time off anymore. I'm hoping we see, I hope there'll be some drills in the training ground, a little bit more creativity. Look at the mistakes of being too slow against Forest and try and rectify them. I'm hoping we'll see the defensive work, though, that was so strong against Forest, and it was really good for a large part of the game, carry on and improve as well.
Yeah, and we've seen City in some games in recent weeks play a little bit more direct, play long balls forward for the likes of Mamouche and Haaland running behind, and Brighton are known for playing a high line. So you think City can maybe take that approach and go direct in this game?
I would love to see a sort of return to what we saw against Newcastle recently, where we saw, if Nunes is playing right back, we saw Oscar Vardial and Nunes sort of getting past Marmoush and Haaland, and we were bombing forward directly, and Edison was pinging those balls over the top, and we were playing direct because if Brighton, let's look, if we've got pace out wide, you have to try and utilize that, and we have, if they play such a high line, it's a potential weakness, and Brighton aren't one to compromise on their principles. They will carry on playing that way. And you do not approach Brighton the same way you approach Nottingham Forest, who are very happy to sit deep and hit you on the counter with their wingers, Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, etc. Yeah, I think I think this is why City have had joy against sides that play a similar style to them over the years, because ultimately City be able to do it a little bit better because of a higher quality. But I can't really say that with conviction these days. I don't think City are necessarily higher quality, especially without Foden in form, especially with the drop off of Gundogan, De Bruyne, and no Rodri there. If they were available, in terms of who they are and the quality at the very best, it'd be a different story. But um, it's going to be as close um, as it has been an awful long time against Brighton at home. In previous years, even they've been good, we've got the better of them at home. But I think it's going to be close. I'm hoping Savino turns up, and if he does, and if we play with Marmoush off Haaland, be a bit more direct, let Vardy get forward, could have some joy.
Yeah, and in terms of the lineup, I think Guardiola's unlikely to make too many changes, if any, to his defence, which have did reasonably well against Forest despite the defeat. But in terms of attack, do you think he can freshen things up there? We had Mamouche, De Bruyne, and Grealish were all on the bench. Do you think maybe any of those could come into the team? How do you see City maybe lining up from an attacking perspective?
Yeah, there could be some slight changes. I don't think they'll be drastic. I didn't really enjoy Bernardo Silva alongside Nico Gonzalez. I wasn't sure if it particularly worked. Uh, Bernardo, he's having a tough season. He's offering so little creatively right now. He doesn't look inspired. De Bruyne at home feels a safer bet against Brighton. I know they'll run really hard, but De Bruyne, once again, yeah, the Etihad is the best place to play De Bruyne right now, given he can't play very often. I think he'll come into the side potentially. I think Marmoush is nailed on. It depends on that means one of Doku or Savio will probably drop out. I think probably Doku. I think Marmoush will probably get on the left hand side, and I think De Bruyne will be tasked with picking out the runners of Savinho, Marmoush, Vardy if he gets forward. Nico Gonzalez is almost nailed on to start. I think the Foden's form is poor right now. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Foden sit this on the bench and you see Kovacic, Nico Gonzalez, and De Bruyne uh, with Savinho on the right, Marmoush on the left, and Haaland with Vardy being told he can get forward a little bit. It depends defensively though, because then if Vardy gets forward, you're going to need Nunez wants to get forward too. You're going to need someone to cover defensively. So maybe we see someone sit a bit deeper. Maybe we see. I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult these days. We just don't really have the tools fit for
Yeah.
purpose to cover every scenario without the injured centre backs. But yeah, I think De Bruyne's got a good chance of starting though.